It's been almost 2 weeks later with the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and has it been more than what I've expected, or does it still have a lot more to do for it to still be classed as my phone of the year only within the first month of the year of 2024? Let's discuss it. What features do you like the most? So definitely like the new display, the overall physical design, masterclass, best in class, the most premium ultra phone, and probably the most premium flagship phone that I've had the pleasure of using. Love it. And it almost feels criminal to put this in a case. It annoys me that I have to put this in a case. The display, definitely, love this display. I'm so glad they've gone to a full flat display. Love it. The display, definitely. One of my favorite features is definitely the writing style. So, you know, obviously if you're going to post something and you say, glad you... Okay, let me try and zoom in. Glad you enjoyed the video and found it very useful. So you press here, you go to writing style. Love it. This is all I've been using to reply to you lot. Original, professional, casual. Let's go through them. So this is usually my generic reply. Glad you enjoyed the video and found it very useful. That's the original right there. I'm pleased that you found the video informative and beneficial. Listen. Professional? Man's been liking it. Casual, hey, I'm glad you liked the video and found it helpful. Social, glad you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Helpful, informative, hashtag. Polite, I'm delighted to hear that you enjoyed the video and found it beneficial. Nah, swear down. So hella bougie. I'm glad you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Add the emojis to it. Press here, spelling and grammar. Honestly, spelling and grammar is so useful. So if you see it here, you see the difference? I said, glad you enjoyed the video and found it useful. I'm glad you enjoyed the video and found it very useful. Right, you see? So that's the difference there. I really like that. This has been, writing style especially, bro, man's been rinsing out writing style. That's been my favorite. Like, of course, live translate is there. The summarized web pages is there. Circle to search with Google has been really, really good. But honestly, my favorite feature has been writing styles. Writing styles are so good. It's like it opens up the curiosity of, this thing's teaching me how to be more professional and polite. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Definitely love the new ability to obviously record in 4K 60 and be able to switch between the lenses at the back. That's something I've praised Samsung for. Of course, when you go to photo, you've got the shortcut from the 0.6x ultra wide all the way up to 100x, which is something I really vibe with in general. Of course, when it comes to video, I love the fact that you've got 8K and 1x and a 5x zoom. I love the 5x now is ability to shoot in 5x portrait, and you've got the 3x dedicated portrait, 1x. So optically, you've got the 1x, 3x, and 5x for portrait, and obviously you're doing a lossless zoom into the main camera sensor at 2x. So this has out of the gate the most flexible portrait mode that you can shoot on any smartphone without having to go in and add portrait mode after, which you can still do here with the generative edit. One thing I love is dual record, being able to use two lenses at the same time and record them at 4K 30 is really, really great. You can, you know, shoot them as individual files. And what's great about it, if you're at a concert or a football match or something, you're able to use two lenses to record in 4K. Maybe you want to be recording the zoom and ultra wide at the same time, depending on if they're getting closer or this is just clutch. I really like it. Pro video, I would say one thing about Pro video I like is 4K 120 frames a second, which is done on an ultra wide, and it shoots it as individual frames. It doesn't even slow it down for you. Obviously, you can still do that, 4K 120 on a slow motion, but you can't use it on the ultra wide when you're in the slow motion. You have to do that in the pro mode as well. I like this feature as well where it's hidden, but if you go into the export RAW, you do have a 24 megapixel option as well that you can shoot in RAW and also in JPEG. So I love that feature. Portrait video as well. I did think they were using an optical sensor, but they're not. It's still cropping it onto the main wide, which kind of sucks. But yeah, as an all-round package, this is just, it's just on point, man. It's just on point. And download the camera assistant to help with your extension of how to improve your experience with it. Download the camera assistant extension. When you press it, do the updates, it allows you to enable shortcuts for 2, 10, and 100x, so it's much easier. You can also disable the auto lens switching, so if you're on low light, it can still use the 5x and the 3x dedicated. It doesn't crop in on the main wide sensor. Distortion correction, high resolution options, you've got that there. And also you've got things like tap, prioritize focus over speed, multi-frame, depth of field adapter for anamorphic lenses, audio monitoring, which is great, 10 minutes timeout, and obviously you can do a clean HDMI output as well, which is great to see. There is so much I love about this, but I will give my overarching thing of what I think needs to happen. And I'm going to stand on business and say the design and the display and the build quality, that is here to stay. Samsung, how you're going to top this next year, I don't know, but I'm here for it. I think this is peak Galaxy Ultra. I have no complaints when it comes to the display, in my opinion. I have no complaints when it comes to the build quality. Performance has been really good with the HN3. Battery life has been reasonable. Obviously, how I do my battery life test is quite extreme. They are on mobile data. Thank God I've got enough good signal indoors to be able to do it on mobile data and not Wi-Fi only, but that will be coming in the comparison between mobile data and Wi-Fi only. We'll go through the stuff that we've gone through as well. So battery life is reasonable, you know, somewhere between 6 to 7 hours of screen on time, maybe 8, depending on your load. Camera has been really, really good out of the gate. Again, I think there is some tuning that needs to be done to the 5x zoom, but it's a great step in the right direction. And it's good for Samsung to come back to the 5X because people forget that they had a 5X zoom on a Note 20 Ultra. They were one of the first to be doing a 5X zoom, and that was with the Note 20 Ultra. So I'm really, really glad they've come back to it. I really wish when things didn't really work out with the craziness of the S20 Ultra and they scaled it down to a 5X zoom and a Note 20 Ultra, they stuck to the 5X zoom and perfected it. Software-wise, software is great, feature-rich, feature-packed. I mean, from what I know, and even the little things that you lot are telling me, and then there's good luck on top of it. Honestly, you're not going to be left short when it comes to software. It's fast, it's fluid, and it is the most richly packed Android software edition on top of the base, which is obviously Android 14. You're not going to be shy of the software experience being anything short of feature rich and really, really on par. Performance with the 8 Gen 3 has been great, especially with the new vapor chamber cooling being 1.9 times bigger than the S23 Ultra. What's going to be my feedback? Firstly, when it comes to the battery and the charging experience, Samsung needs to get onto 65 watt charging. We'll go through the content recap at the end. Honestly, 65 watt charging is needed, in my opinion. 45 watt charging is respectable. If it's not live already, I've got a video coming that's going to show you the difference between a 45 watt, 25 watt, and their old school 15 watt wire charging, right? So we're going to go there as well. But I still think 65 watt charging is needed so that we can get to full charge between 40 to 45 minutes, no more than 50 minutes top. It tops out somewhere around an hour, 10 minutes, an hour, 9 minutes to 100%. And of course, obviously, the 45 watt is really doing most of the work at the first 15 minutes, first half an hour interval. And then when it gets to the 40-minute mark, it really starts to trickle. It doesn't do an extreme trickle like what you see on iPhones that can go beyond 2 hours. But, you know, I'm just at a point where I need my full battery around that 45-minute mark, and the 65 watt charger will definitely do that if they power manage it properly. Wireless charging, again, somehow I wish that they'd increased it above the 15 watts, but, you know, I'm not too much of a wireless charging guy unless, of course, I've got my MagSafe compatible case that gives me that, and that's what makes me a wireless charging guy, and also having a wireless charging stand case, which my choice is the MagBack 3-in-1. If I show you here, again, I'm plugging these guys again. This is MagBack's one there. I'm actually using their case on S24 Ultra to charge it. And I just love the fact that once it's there, it starts charging, right? And then what we have here in a situation where you can do video calls, you can, in a way, pick it up and actually use it, right? Because it's in a usable manner and it's magnetically attached compared to other traditional ones as well. And of course, if you're doing things like video calls, which I do a lot on a regular basis, you can still video call in a nice standing position, right? And it's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. So that's probably going to be the best way to go. So I do wish they went up to like 23 watts, 25 watts of wireless charging, 65 watts of the wired charging. I have no complaints on the software. Obviously, the only concern is the fact that the Galaxy AI stuff, it being, you know, something where it will turn subscription based 2025. But call translate, I need to try that in the real world in this particular situation. The writing style, right? That is definitely my favorite one I've been using. And it's just so many others that I've just not really touched on, because that's just the breadth and the depth of the software experience that you're going to get with One UI, especially with One UI 6.1 with these latest devices on Android 14 with the S24 Ultra, S24 Plus, and S24. Camera-wise, I'm just at a point where personally, I think Samsung are giving themselves too much unnecessary work. The only main one that they've done that I really, really like is this. This 50 megapixel this 50 megapixel 5x zoom, great. How do they improve it? It's an f3.4 aperture equivalent for the sensor size. It's not the same aperture as what you're getting on a, you know, full frame like what I'm shooting on, but they need to make this f2.8, need to optimize the hardware and software. Honestly, this 200 megapixel thing is just too much. It's just too much. Please, 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 Samsung, follow the same principle. Make the main camera sensor a 1-inch 50 megapixel sensor, 50 megapixels on the 5x zoom, optimize that, keep improving it. Do a 50 megapixel on the 3x, give it the upgraded treatment it deserves. There's weird color shifting that you get when you're going from main to this, right? So definitely for me, something to consider that, you know, it would be great for them to do. And the ultra wide as well, made that 50 megapixels. I think Samsung's problem of having a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 200 megapixel main sensor, a 10 megapixel 3x, and a 50 megapixel 5x, there's just too much zigzaggy. There's less cohesion. It's making you guys have to work harder to get your shutter lag and your capture image speed down. There's too much hardware that you're giving yourself to really process through. Dump all of it, man. Minus the 5x, dump the rest, refresh them all to 50 megapixels, and just put them to work. Honestly, just put them to work. Just put them to work. We don't need a 200 pixel main sensor. Like, I commend you making 200 megapixel work. We need a quality 1-inch type 50 megapixel main sensor, a 50 megapixel ultra wide, a 50 megapixel 3x, maybe give it a periscopic treatment, and then a 5x 50 megapixel that we have right now, and just optimize it. What's another big downside? It's probably going to be the price. Manufacturer suggested retail pricing at the moment with MSRP being $1,300, £1,249. You know, it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask. But overall, 2 weeks later, yeah, hell yeah.